My name is Carol Costin. I'm a Dominican sister from our mother houses in Adrian, Michigan. And Elise and I are the co-directors of Santuario Sister Farm.
Yes, my name is Elise Garcia, and I am with Carol, co-founder, co-director of Santuario Sister Farm. We established it in 2002 as a nonprofit organization.
I have lived here since 1992, and both of us had full-time jobs working in San Antonio. But we always wanted to have like a kind of a retreat place, an ecology center. So finally in 2002, we were both freed up to do this, so we launched it.
It was established as a collaboration between Dominican sisters and Latinas from the borderlands, and our whole focus is on cultivating diversity, biodiversity and cultural diversity. We drew inspiration from an Indian physicist and ecologist named Vandana Shiva, who basically said that the greatest threat to peace in our times is an intolerance of diversity. And it's not enough just to tolerate diversity, we have to actively cultivate diversity if we're to have peace among diverse peoples and peace between peoples and earth.
And my area of focus is living lightly on earth, which is one of the projects. We're trying to be a model of how to live sustainably and restoratively on a particular piece of land. And so we use permaculture practices and organic practices. And then Elise has the other two projects.
Yeah, which is Sor Juana Press, which is a women's press dedicated to publishing the works of women, particularly women of color and women religious on topics related to earth and spirituality.
We're still trying to learn to use collaboratively the resources that are there, because when we first moved here, there's only a half an inch of topsoil, and I was used to worms and rich topsoil in Washington D.C. So it's been a learning thing. We have excess tomatoes, we dry them. So when we have guests that come, we use as much of our own things as we can. We have groups that come, and as much as possible, we'd like to do all our own growing, but we haven't arrived at that yet. But that's our goal.
Well, and one other piece connected to that is that we are small scale, so the idea is to try to be replicable, so that when people come, they can see things that they could do in their own backyards. It's not a huge farm; it's just pretty small scale.
Because I was telling her we're doing a bigger piece about all the community gardens that are in San Antonio.
Oh, good.
And then one of the things that was really interesting was the water catchment, and even just using the rainwater. How much, I know you have the 75-gallon tanks that you're using, is that primarily what is used to water your gardens, or do you have to implement it ever with, regular water?
Yeah, we have to use more than that, because that tank could empty in 2 or 3 days, 5,000 gallons, and that was a big shock to us. So now we've been focusing as much as possible on trying to conserve water. So that's why we have a huge mulch system going on, why we're trying to get plants that will be and drought resistant if at all possible, trying to use a minimal amount of water and still keep things alive. And it's a learning process.
And today we focused on water conservation, but there are many other practices that we employ for energy conservation, for example, using alternative fuels and that sort of thing, as well as organic growing and that, which are all part of what you would learn on a tour. And we do have groups that can come out by appointment, if they're large enough, school groups and the like. Yeah, we have tours at 10 a.m. and at noon right now, and we have Carol usually is the one who does the tours, and she does about an hour, hour and a half, and sometimes longer depending on how many questions people have, and really takes people through the whole site